Hey everyone. I lied. If you saw my September 6th tweets, you would have known that I said I was going to do a video about John Gibson, and that didn't happen. It was partly due to the fact that I was building a new PC, but also the fact that there's a Sony Showcase that came about, and let's just say it was pretty big. So let's jump into first the John Gibson situation, then I'll talk about the Sony Showcase. So, the first to begin, the video that I was trying to make on September 6th was about the CEO of Tripwire Interactive, John Gibson, being essentially forced to step down following the severe backlash against his tweet supporting the Texas abortion law. And yeah, basically, Tripwire said his comments disregarded the values of our whole team, our partners, and much of our broader community. Our leadership team at Tripwire are deeply sorry that and are unified in our commitment to take swift action and to foster a more positive environment. And if we want to take a further dive into their response, effective immediately, John Gibson has stepped down, and then co-founding member, and current VP Alan Wilson would take over as interim CEO. Yada yada yada. And so, yeah, basically, John Gibson's comments that he made basically forced him to step down, and so Tripwire at least kind of saves themselves in the backlash, kind of. Because I know there's a lot of people that said they would boycott the games, remove it from their Steam libraries, not play it anymore, so on and so forth. I think that's kind of dumb because you already kind of pay for it, right? So like, if you don't want to pay any more for the games, that's one thing, and you don't want to play them again, that's one thing. But removing it, particularly when you could also get this kind of situation, I feel like it's you could do a little bit better than that. It's kind of like buying Nike shoes and then just burning it. Sure, you want to protest, but that's not the way to do it. At least it doesn't really hurt Nike as much. But so, I mean, I kind of expected this. Anybody with a high profile that says things like this out loud tends to have some backlash either way. Even heck, what I'm saying right now would get a decent amount of backlash in certain communities. What John Gibson said would get a lot of backlash from other communities, so on and so forth. And so, I'm not entirely surprised. And if you are, you probably just don't quite understand how the internet works as a microphone and megaphone for a ton of people's opinions. So, but it's whatever. But yeah, so basically at this point, John Gibson has stepped down, and I'm not sure if Alan Wilson will do anything different compared to John Gibson, like in terms of what they're gonna do for the future of the company. I don't think so though, but I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see whether or not if this causes like a chain reaction of people not saying anything about real life political topics. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not that does cause like a chain reaction of sorts. Now, up next, the Sony Showcase. Basically, the only thing that matters is Coder. Video done. Okay, but no, seriously. So Knights of the Old Republic is getting a remake by Asper. It's going to be just a timed exclusive. It's coming to PC. We don't know when it's coming out, though I know a lot of people want it to come out earlier. Project Eve is coming out. It's like an action game, kind of looking like Bayonetta. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is basically Borderlands, but heavily relies on like more of an RPG kind of system. So something similar to like Far Cry New Dawn, where sure, it's still Far Cry, but there are RPG elements behind it, and it kind of spiced up the gameplay, or at least made it interesting. Up next, Forspoken, new Square Enix's Luminous Productions game, and coming out in 2022. Extraction, I'm still disappointed in the fact that they only have 14 operators or something. Like, you could have literally used every operator in the game, I think. It could have been really interesting if they tried doing that. But whatever. Remedy announced a Alan Wake remaster, and love it, but where's Alan Wake 2? Or where's Control 2? Or where's like the next big game from them, right? Because not to say that Alan Wake Remastered isn't a good thing. It makes it more accessible for those that didn't play it, or those that want to play it again. And yeah, I think it's good, but just make another weird game. Control was weird, but hey, great game. Alan Wake, weird game, really great. But and GTA 5. Anyway, nobody cares. Except for everybody that plays the game, which is a lot of people. But next up, they would be showing the Ghostwire Tokyo game from Bethesda before that they were bought out by Microsoft. Still releasing for the PS5. And we see Guardians of the Galaxy, and nobody cares. Blood Hunt, the Vampire the Masquerade free-to-play battle royale. So it looks interesting. Deathloop, which is about to come out very soon, September the 14th, 2 days from now. Interesting. I think it's kind of cool. Next up, and then there's Kid A Amnesiac Visual Exhibition. Yeah, looks cool. Chia, game inspired by New Caledonia. I don't know about this one. Uncharted, the Legacy of Thieves, which is Uncharted 4, and the spin-off, whatever it's called, Lost Legacy. So it's Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy, and yeah, it's coming to PC, so really interesting. And some really big announcements. Marvel's Wolverine was announced with Spider-Man 2. Gran Turismo 7 got announced, Spider-Man 2. Ragnarok got announced, and yeah, those are particularly all the games that from the Sony Showcase. And this is a pretty strong showing because, you know, Ragnarok is one hell of a hyped game, especially with the God of War not even remake, but like God of War sequel in 2018. That did really big numbers, and I expected this to get a lot of fanfare. Spider-Man 2, ooh, looking pretty good. I wonder what they're going to exactly do with the story, but hey, they got Miles Morales and they have Peter Parker. Pretty interesting to see if you could swap off between the two, or if it's going to be something like Rift Apart and how they did that, but we'll see. Wolverine. It's Wolverine. It's pretty cool. Though, I do wonder if they might fumble this one, because it's like a 50-50 shot whether or not a Wolverine game's been good or not, but knowing Insomniac, they'll probably do at least somewhat good. It'll be much better than it is worse. And so, those are my biggest thoughts. I mean, Gran Turismo 7, not a racer. Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy being put on PC. Cool, but what about the other games? You know, you could put the other games on there. You could also put multiplayer in there too. It'd be really interesting, you know, that's all I'm saying. But so, yeah, this is the total lineup for the Sony Showcase, and I think it's very cool. We'll see if there'll be more games that are coming out that are new, like Marvel Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine. Though, for now, at this point, there isn't much else new besides these games. It's still a lot, but, you know, there's some announcements like Uncharted, the Legacy of Thieves collection, which, I mean, it's good. It brings more games to PC and preserves the games better, but, oh well. Next up after the Sony Showcase, we're going to talk about Fire Spirit. Yeah, they got acquired too. Nothing else. Now, it breaks my heart a little bit to see Paradox Interactive basically saying that, yeah, we don't feel safe here. Majority of women working at Paradox Interactive report mistreatment in staff survey, and the CEO did leave, but supposedly it is just unrelated. It's just really, they just had different thoughts about how the company should be running, so, yeah. And so, basically, yeah, due to differing views on the company's strategy going forward, Paradox's CEO had left and now replaced with co-founder Frederick Wester. And so, what's really interesting, though, is that the survey, a leaked Paradox employee survey from last month conducted by two unions, Union and I'm not going to even pronounce this, I'm going to butcher it super hard, conducted an employee survey at Paradox Interactive about the company's working environment. And it employs around 400 people in Sweden, and 133 chose to take part in the survey. Of those, 44% claimed to have experienced mistreatment. But the numbers get much worse among female employees, and women made up for 26% of the total respondents, and 69% of them said that they have received abuse or mistreatment. And yeah, I mean, it's probably, not to say that any harassment's bad, but compared to how Activision Blizzard had somebody literally kill themselves due to the harassment that they were getting, you know, it's not as bad. And look, this looks way easier to remedy, at least from the looks of it, right? This looks like something you can change much more easily than what the Q crawls happening at Blizzard Activision, the HR basically swiping people away, destroying evidence, so on and so forth. Or destroying evidence, and all those other claims, you know. Because California definitely would be throwing claims at Blizzard Activision for no reason besides hating them, you know. But so, yeah, this problem is kind of seen across the whole gaming industry. I hate it, but yeah, it's something that we could easily fix, or easily, right? The mentality of some people are kind of just disgusting, and the fact that they stay entrenched is disgusting, and so definitely fire these people. It's really that simple. And then, anybody else tries to do that shit, fire them too. It's kind of simple. Nobody is smart enough that you need to keep them around for game development that badly. I'm just saying, you just don't need them. And so, I hate to say it, but, I kind of expected this. At least, I 100% believe that this is happening in Paradox 2, and I hate to say it, but it's just a fact of video game companies, at least working in the video game industry in general. So yeah, so basically, Paradox do better. Fire the people that are mistreating others, because it's not good. And yeah, hopefully Paradox Interactive gets this done, and basically it does better than Blizzard Activision, where they done a ton of dumb shit. So, today is the day, or, well, 2 days ago. The judgment for Epic versus Apple finally went through. And yeah, basically both companies kind of lost. Now, sure, Apple won 9 out of the 10 claims, but in full honesty, it's still not that great. Because the 10th account, basically, yeah, it kind of made Apple lose it in a decent way. Basically allowing people to direct customers outside of the App Store to buy like subscriptions on a different website or whatever. And so yeah, that's essentially what Apple lost. But what did Epic lose? A ton of revenue and their developer status within Apple Store has been cut off essentially. But that one doesn't matter as much. But they did lose a shit ton of money. But let's go into more specifics, shall we? Now, so basically, to sum up the best that I can, as I mentioned before, Rogers found in favor of Apple on 9 of 10 accounts, but the 10th one is where Rogers did not find Apple in favor. The 10th one being related to anti-steering provisions and issue a permanent injunction that 90 days from the ruling blocked Apple from preventing developers from linking app users to other storefronts, yada yada yada. And so, what were the 9 to 10 accounts? Basically, it's talking about how Apple was a monopoly and that the 30% cut was too much, and yeah, basically Rogers said, I mean, sure, it's a duopoly with Google, but it's not quite a monopoly. It isn't completely unfair. While Rogers says Apple enjoys considerable market share of over 55% and extraordinarily high profit margins, that type of success was not an illegal monopoly. In this light, Judge Rogers ruled that Epic had failed to show that Apple violated federal or state antitrust laws, but ruled that Apple did violate the California Unfair Competition Law, the 10th charge, through the anti-competitive behavior of disallowing any mention of other payment systems within apps. And so, yeah, as I mentioned, Rogers identified that some of Apple's practices may be a concern due to the lack of competition in the digital game purchases market, but having determined that Apple was not a monopoly, could not take immediate action to remedy. And so, yeah, basically, while it seems like Epic has won, at least kind of, in the sense that they basically were able to get third-party developers that aren't so small, but aren't so small that could try to get app purchases off the App Store, it's still a pretty big loss for Epic, because not only is their developer profile taken away from Apple, but Apple also gets $3.6 million, and that's nothing to scoff at. That's a huge amount of money. And so, basically, at this point, Epic and Apple both lost in separate ways. I do think, though, Apple lost more. So sure, Apple won the antitrust laws, and basically Apple wasn't found to be a monopoly, but Epic kind of put a big dent, basically saying, oh, you can't just hide other payment methods, otherwise, that's bad. And yeah, so basically both Apple and Epic lost in their own separate ways, and I think this is good overall for the consumer, but I think there could have been a lot more, potentially, but that's me personally speaking, just so you know. So, up next, I want to talk about how Chinese players are review bombing Life is Strange True Colors over the Tibetan flag. Yeah, no, they're completely right. There's no Tibetan, there's just China. But, I'm kidding. But basically, Life is Strange is set in the town of Haven Springs, where a shop called Treasures of Tibet can be seen flying a Tibetan flag over the entrance. And basically, yeah, China doesn't really quite think Tibet is really Tibet, and it's just China. And so, yeah, basically, I'm just kind of disgusted overall. I don't know what else to say. In one negative review, Tibet is a part of China. Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, and Tibet have been Chinese territories since ancient times. No matter how the obsolete think, they will eventually return to the mainland. I suggest that NEETs read more books, stop being stupid, and find a job to support themselves. Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, and Tibet is part of China forever. And yeah, I'm a little disgusted, but I'm not entirely surprised. Again, I hate saying this. I'm not entirely surprised, but boy, am I disgusted. And so, yeah, basically, China, there is such a place called Tibet, and it's not just China, part 2, or 3, or 4, or 5. It is Tibet, and, yeah, basically, that's the end of the story. So, that is the end of this week's news. Yeah, there's quite a bit of disgusting stuff, basically, and I don't like it here, but I gotta tell you the news anyway so that y'all are informed about it. Whether or not you do anything with the information, that's up to you. I'm not gonna know, and yeah, basically, people are disgusting, people need to change, and Epic and Apple both lost, and I find that very good. Very good. But anyway, that's the end of this week's news. Everybody stay safe, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next week. Maybe later down the week if something big happens and if I don't lie about making another video. I don't know. So, I'll see y'all next week at the very least. At the very least.